Marina always knew she was capable. From a young age, in her small town in the Philippines, she demonstrated a lively intelligence, skillful hands, and a determined heart. Her parents, simple farmers, saw in her the promise of better days. "You'll go far," they would say. And Marina believed it with all the strength of her youth. At 23, she packed her bags and left for Makati, the financial heart of Manila, where glass skyscrapers touch the sky and the city lights never go out. It was there that dreams came true, where ordinary people transformed into success stories. Marina arrived with 2 suitcases, carefully counted savings, and an unwavering certainty she didn't need anyone's help. The first few months were a celebration of her independence. She got a small apartment in Poblacion, a vibrant neighborhood where life throbbed in the narrow streets. She got a job at an accounting firm, nothing grand, but it was a start. Every morning, she walked along Makati's wide avenues, observing the hurried professionals, the street vendors, the security guards in the mirrored buildings. "I'll be a part of that too," she thought. But the big city has a peculiar way of teaching its lessons. Marina soon realized that talent and determination alone were not enough. Her co-workers formed groups, had lunch together, shared information about promotions and opportunities. She, however, kept her distance. "I don't need favors," she told herself when someone offered help. "I can do this myself." She was like a perfect light bulb, with an intact filament, polished glass, impeccable design. But disconnected. Off. Keeping all her potential within herself, without allowing external energy to reach her. The months turned into a year. Marina remained in the same position, while colleagues who arrived after her were promoted. She worked late, produced impeccable reports, never missed work. But something wasn't working. In meetings, her ideas were ignored, as if she were invisible. When she needed information, she discovered that everyone already knew it, except her. Opportunities passed by like express trains that didn't stop at her station. One Friday night, tired and frustrated, Marina sat in one of Makati's many cafes. The city shone around her. The metaphor struck her like lightning. She was that lamp at midday. Intact, functional, but switched off. Refusing to connect to the source that could make her shine. The following Monday, Marina made a decision. When Sofia invited her to lunch with the group, she accepted. It was strange at first. She was used to eating alone, with a book or her cell phone for company. But there, at that noisy table in a local Filipino restaurant, something changed. People shared stories, gave advice, complained about their bosses, laughed at inside jokes. And, for the first time in a long time, Marina felt like she belonged. In the following weeks, she began asking questions. She asked a more experienced colleague for help understanding complex software. She accepted another employee's invitation to participate in a workshop. When a challenging project arose, instead of trying to solve everything alone, she formed a team. The change wasn't immediate. Like a light bulb that takes a few seconds to fully light up, Marina needed time to adjust. There were moments when her pride pulled her back, whispering that she was being weak, that she was becoming dependent. But then she remembered the lamppost on Ayala Avenue, illuminating the night, fulfilling its purpose. A pivotal moment occurred during an important presentation. Marina had meticulously prepared everything, but at the last minute, the projector failed. In the past, she would have panicked, feeling that her failure was sealed. But this time, a colleague from the IT department, with whom she had had lunch a few times, quickly appeared to help. Another colleague took control of the room, keeping the audience engaged while the problem was resolved. In 5 minutes, Marina was back, and the presentation was a success. Afterward, the manager called her into his office. "Marina, you did an exceptional job. But what really impressed me was how you built a team around you. That's leadership." Leadership. The word echoed in her mind. She had always thought that leadership meant doing everything alone, being the strongest, the most independent. But now she understood, true strength lies not in isolation, but in the ability to connect, to give and receive, to shine together with others. 6 months later, Marina was promoted. But the new position wasn't what mattered most. What had truly changed was her. Now, when she walked through the illuminated streets of Makati at night, she saw herself in those lamps. Each one connected to the same network, each one contributing its light, together transforming darkness into clarity. She thought about her journey and realized the layers of pride that had kept her disconnected. She had confused independence with isolation, strength with rigidity, self-sufficiency with stubbornness. She believed that asking for help was admitting weakness, when in fact it was demonstrating wisdom. She thought that giving space for others to contribute would diminish her value, when in reality it multiplied her potential. Marina began mentoring new employees who arrived at the company, especially those who, like her, came from small towns carrying big dreams and even bigger pride. She saw in them the same mistake she had made, the belief that they needed to prove something by being invincible and solitary. A lamp doesn't illuminate anything until it accepts that it needs to be turned on, she told them. And that's not weakness. It's purpose. A young employee once asked her, "But how do I know who to trust? How do I know they won't use me?" Marina smiled, remembering her own resistance. You don't know. Just like a light bulb doesn't control where the electricity comes from. But without accepting the connection, it never fulfills its purpose. There are risks, yes. But the greatest risk is remaining unlit, wasting all its potential out of fear. Marina's life in Makati became rich in ways she never imagined. Not just professionally, but personally. She made true friendships, people who supported her on difficult days and celebrated with her in good times. She learned the Tagalog language better, exploring the city with new friends who showed her hidden places among the skyscrapers. She discovered that vulnerability was not the opposite of strength, but its complement. There were moments of disappointment, of course. Not every connection bore good fruit. Some people really took advantage of her generosity. But Marina learned that this was part of the process. A plugged-in light bulb is also exposed to power fluctuations, spikes and dips. But the alternative, remaining off and safe in its darkness, was no longer acceptable. She began to see connections everywhere. In the way street vendors cooperated on the streets, each selling different but complementary products. In the way Makati's buildings were constructed, each structure supported by pillars made by different teams. In the transportation system, where jeepneys, buses, trains, and taxis formed a complex network that kept the city moving. Makati, with all his apparent competitiveness and individualism, was actually a giant testament to interdependence. Nothing there existed in isolation. Everything was connected, flowing, depending on each other to function. Marina also learned about reciprocity. It wasn't just about receiving help, but about offering it. She became the person who arrived early to help colleagues with difficult projects. The one who shared valuable information. The one who offered a shoulder to cry on when someone was going through a hard time. And she discovered that the more she gave, the more she received, not in a transactional sense, but in a natural flow of human energy. Her parents, when she visited them months later, noticed the change. "You're different," her mother said. "Lighter. Brighter." Marina laughed. "I finally turned on my light." She tried to explain her metaphor, how she had realized that all her talent, intelligence, and determination were useless without connection. How she had confused self-sufficiency with isolation. How she had finally learned that accepting help was not weakness, but wisdom. Her father, a man of few words, shook his head thoughtfully. "Even in the countryside," he said, "no plant grows alone. The roots intertwine in the soil. Each tree protects the other from the wind. I should have taught you that before you left." "I needed to learn it on my own," Marina replied. "Some lessons only make sense when you're ready to receive them." Back in Makati, Marina developed a ritual. Every night, as she walked home from work, she would pause for a moment on Ayala Avenue. She would look at the thousands of lights around her, in office windows, on streetlights, in shop signs, in car headlights. Each one connected, each fulfilling its purpose, together creating the luminous landscape that defined the city. And she thought about how many people were like she had been. Perfect lamps, full of potential, but switched off. Refusing to connect out of pride, fear, or a misguided understanding of power. How many of them spent years in darkness, wasting their brilliance, when all they needed to do was accept a simple truth: no lamp was made to shine on its own. Marina's story isn't exceptional because she achieved extraordinary success. It's exceptional because she learned a universal truth that many take a lifetime to understand: we are made for connection. Our purpose is not in glorious isolation, but in humble interdependence. Today, when new employees arrive at the company, they often find Marina in the coffee shop, ready for a chat. She doesn't force connections, but offers an open door. And when she sees in them that same distant and proud look she used to have, she smiles gently and tells her story. "Do you see those lights out there?" she asks, pointing to the Makati nightscape. "Each one of them could be perfect, but useless if it weren't connected. Don't be afraid to connect. It's not weakness. It's how you begin to shine." And on the Makati night, under thousands of connected lamps illuminating the city, another person begins to understand that true power lies not in remaining dim and safe, but in accepting the connection that allows their singular brilliance to contribute to the collective light that transforms darkness into hope. If you've made it this far, if you've allowed yourself to walk alongside Marina through the illuminated streets of Makati, if you've recognized yourself in her struggles and her lessons, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for having the courage to look inside yourself through this simple metaphor of a lamp. I know it's not easy to admit that sometimes we are also that perfect, but disconnected, lamp. That we keep our light hidden out of pride, fear, or because we believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Thank you for understanding that life's journey was not meant to be traveled alone. That the challenges we face along the way are not just obstacles, but invitations to connect, to learn from each other, to grow together. Each of us has our own Makati to conquer. It could be a big city, a new job, a relationship, a dream that seems distant. And in each of these journeys, we will face the same choice that Marina faced: to remain isolated in our comfort zone or to accept that we need to connect in order to truly shine. Thank you for having the humility to recognize that we don't know everything, that we can't do everything, that we are not invincible. And that's okay. Our humanity lies not in solitary perfection, but in shared imperfection. Thank you for understanding that every outstretched hand we refuse, every help we dismiss out of pride, every connection we avoid out of fear, is a missed opportunity to illuminate not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us. May you take from this story the certainty that you don't have to face your challenges alone. That there are people willing to share the energy you need to shine. And that, when you finally allow yourself to connect, when you accept that you need to be switched on, just like that light bulb, something magical happens. You not only illuminate your own path, but you become a light on the path of others as well. The obstacles we face are not there to break us, but to teach us that we are stronger together. Falls are not failures, but reminders that there are hands ready to help us get up. Doubts are not signs of incompetence, but opportunities to learn from those who have already been there. Thank you for giving this metaphor a chance, for allowing it to touch your heart. I hope that the next time you see a lit lamp illuminating the night, you remember Marina, and remember that you too were made to shine. Not alone, but connected. Not isolated, but in community. Not extinguished by fear, but lit by the courage to accept that, together, we are stronger. May you find your own connections. May you have the courage to reach out and ask for help when you need it. May you be generous in offering your light when someone is in darkness. And may you never forget, a lamp doesn't illuminate anything until it accepts that it needs to be turned on. And you, my friend, were made to illuminate. Thank you for being here. Thank you for learning. Thank you for shining. With love and gratitude. To all who face their paths with courage, even when scared. To all who choose to connect, even when it's difficult. To all those who choose to shine, even when it's easier to remain in the darkness.